and the FPV drones take it out. "30 kilometers from Donetsk, Ukrainian intelligence has detected several targets. The coordinates have been relayed to HIMARS. Several shots successfully destroy the target. Another SAM. Now it's a Pantsir S1. The first shot seriously damages the machine, and the second missile burns it to the ground. A radar station was detected next. Several shots damaged the vehicle. Repairs will be very expensive for the Russians. Intelligence reports that this warehouse holds the invaders' vehicles. A shot from the HIMARS and several fat targets are destroyed. Russian SPHs also explode very spectacularly. A Ukrainian kamikaze drone strikes. It's enough to start a fire. The flames reach the ammunition, and 3, 2, 1. We've witnessed a remarkable fire show. Another column has been spotted heading towards the city in the other direction. We see the first target through the screen of the ATGM operator. He fires the missile and destroys the tank with a precision hit. Look from a different angle. Next, the kamikaze drone hits a Russian tank. Right after that, the drone hits another target. It instantly burns up. The drone drops explosives and hits next to an APC. The caterpillar is damaged by shrapnel, and after a couple of minutes, we see how the fire devours this tin can. Here is another abandoned target standing in the background of the Russian destroyed city. The drone carefully flies into the hatch. Target is destroyed. Moving to another direction, a Russian MTLB is on its way to attack. It's stopped by a mine. The last APC tried to escape. Ukrainian kamikaze drone makes a precise strike, and the enemy rolls into the field.
Elaborated on the numerous steps that have been agreed upon to assist Ukraine more than 2 years after the onset of Russia's full-scale invasion in 2022. Stoltenberg highlighted the initiation of a new project where the alliance will coordinate military support and training for Ukraine for the first time, establishing a central command headquarters in Germany. This represents a significant shift in NATO's approach to assisting Ukraine, underscoring a commitment to enhance military effectiveness on the ground. Additionally, Stoltenberg commended the increase in defense budgets among NATO members, noting that 23 out of the 32 alliance members have met the goal of spending 2% of their GDP on defense this year. This commitment illustrates a broader recognition among NATO countries of the need to bolster their military capabilities in response to the changing security landscape in Europe. The members have also agreed to ramp up defense production, ensuring that they can meet both their own needs and those of Ukraine as it continues to face Russian aggression. In a recent interview, Secretary General Stoltenberg stated that NATO member states would ramp up the production of military equipment. This effort aims to ensure that the Western alliance can maintain its support for Ukraine as it fights against the ongoing, large-scale invasion by Russia. He underscored the importance of this support, conveying that it is crucial for NATO members to demonstrate that allowing President Putin to succeed in Ukraine would pose a direct threat to their own security. Discussing the current situation on the battlefield, Stoltenberg noted that the whole world is impressed by the quality, courage, and determination exhibited by the Ukrainian forces. He remarked on the stark contrast with the Russian military, indicating that they are suffering from low morale, often face issues with inadequate equipment, and that their training processes have been far from impressive. This assessment highlights the resilience of Ukrainian troops in the face of overwhelming odds, reinforcing the message that continued support from NATO is vital for their success. Overall, the combination of military support, increased defense spending, and the commitment to Ukraine's sovereignty reflects a unified stance among NATO members as they navigate the complexities of the ongoing conflict and its implications for European security. Over the past month, there have been 156 combat clashes along the front lines, with Russian forces exerting the greatest pressure towards Pokrovsk. The intensity of these clashes has resulted in significant losses for Russia, including 370.9 tanks, 42 armored vehicles, and 33 artillery systems, as reported by the trusted Ukrainian media outlet Espresso. This relentless combat has underscored the ongoing and brutal nature of the conflict, as both sides continue to engage in fierce battles for control of strategic areas. Amidst these ground battles, there has been a significant development in the air warfare capabilities of Ukraine. Recently, footage widely circulated on social media appears to show the first F-16 fighter jets donated to Kiev, taking to the skies above Ukraine after a prolonged wait. These advanced jets represent a significant upgrade in Ukraine's aerial combat capabilities. One image, reportedly taken over the Lviv region of western Ukraine, shows Ukrainian-operated F-16s, marking a milestone in Ukraine's efforts to modernize its air force. A video shared on social media purportedly shows Ukrainian piloted F-16s in action, although this footage has yet to be independently verified. Despite the lack of confirmation, these reports have generated considerable excitement and speculation about the arrival and operational status of the F-16s. Reports on Wednesday suggested that the first Lockheed Martin F-16s promised to Kiev had indeed arrived in Ukraine. Bloomberg was the first to report the delivery, noting that 6 of the fighters had been supplied to Ukraine by the Netherlands. This initial delivery is expected to be followed by additional fighters from Denmark, as reported by the Times of London. However, official comments on the matter have been scarce. The Danish Defense Ministry declined to comment on Thursday, citing operational security concerns, while the Dutch government similarly refrained from providing details. Ukraine's Air Force has also maintained a tight-lipped stance regarding the arrival of the F-16s. In early July, a Ukrainian Air Force spokesman declined to provide details on how many jets would be part of the initial phase and when they would arrive, again citing confidentiality. The significance of these deliveries cannot be overstated. The Netherlands has pledged a total of 24 F-16 jets to Ukraine as part of an international coalition that includes Denmark, Norway, and Belgium. This coalition aims to equip Kyiv with advanced fighter jets, bolstering its defense capabilities against Russian aggression. Ukraine is set to receive 19 Danish F-16s as part of this effort. Speaking on the sidelines of a NATO summit in Washington in July, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken confirmed that the first F-16s were en route to Ukraine from Denmark and the Netherlands. Despite the anticipation, Blinken did not confirm the actual arrival of the first F-16s in Ukraine, but reiterated his previous statement that the jets would be operational by the end of the summer. This timeline suggests that Ukraine's Air Force will soon have a significant boost in its capabilities, potentially altering the dynamics of the conflict. The advanced technology and combat prowess of the F-16s will provide Ukraine with a critical edge in defending its airspace and conducting offensive operations. The arrival of the F-16s comes at a crucial time for Ukraine as it continues to face relentless pressure from Russian forces. The addition of these advanced fighter jets to Ukraine's arsenal is expected to enhance its ability to counter Russian air and ground attacks, providing a much-needed boost to its military capabilities. As the conflict rages on, the international community remains closely watchful of developments, hoping that the introduction of these powerful aircraft will help to shift the balance in favor of Ukraine and contribute to a resolution of the conflict. The video showcases a series of intense and strategic encounters where Ukrainian forces effectively countered Russian assaults near Donetsk, demonstrating their tactical superiority and resilience. According to Ukrainian media outlet Espresso, Russia faced significant losses in this operation, including the destruction of 36 artillery systems, 5 tanks, 17 armored vehicles, and a considerable number of soldiers. These events highlight the effectiveness of Ukraine's military operations and their ability to repel repeated Russian offensives. In the Donetsk region, Russian forces launched an attack on Ukrainian positions, deploying a convoy that included 2 tanks, an armored vehicle, and an infantry contingent. Unbeknownst to them, their advance brought them into the well-prepared artillery range of Ukrainian paratroopers. The video captures the pivotal moments when Ukrainian artillery units and FPV drones targeted the advancing Russian convoy. The precision and ferocity of the Ukrainian strikes led to a series of spectacular explosions, effectively neutralizing the threat. Despite the Russian armored vehicles' attempts to retreat to safer grounds, Ukrainian drone operators were quick to react, ensuring that all Russian equipment in the area was destroyed. The Obliterates region witnessed a similarly decisive engagement, where the brigade named after Black Zaporozhets, in collaboration with other Ukrainian units, successfully thwarted a Russian assault group that relied heavily on armored vehicles. The 72nd Separate Mechanized Brigade, credited with this victory, managed to seize control of the area through highly coordinated and efficient military tactics. The Ukrainian military's success was partly due to their advanced reconnaissance capabilities. Observing the movement of the Russian armored group from a reconnaissance aircraft, Ukrainian forces were able to effectively direct their artillery fire during the attack. As the Russian convoy entered the designated firing zone, they were immediately met with a devastating barrage from Ukrainian artillery, which systematically destroyed the Russian vehicles and inflicted significant casualties on their forces. Another significant battle took place on the Kharkiv front line, where the Ukrainian Hartia unit played a crucial role in repelling a Russian attack aimed at the 13th Brigade of the Ukrainian National Guard. In this engagement, 5 Russian tanks were destroyed or severely damaged, and approximately 40 Russian infantrymen were neutralized. The Russian tank assault was formidable, consisting of 2 columns, each equipped with substantial FPV protection, and carrying 8 to 10 infantrymen per tank. Despite this, the coordinated efforts of Ukrainian reconnaissance operators and artillery units proved overwhelming, resulting in heavy losses for the Russian forces. Throughout these encounters, the video illustrates how Ukrainian forces consistently outmaneuvered and outgunned the Russian troops. The effective use of FPV drones, precision artillery strikes, and superior reconnaissance enabled Ukraine to inflict significant damage on Russian equipment and personnel, while maintaining control over key areas. The destruction of Russian tanks, armored vehicles, and the neutralization of infantry units underscore the growing capabilities of the Ukrainian military in defending their positions and thwarting Russian advances. In May, the Ukrainian Air Force announced that its pilots are undergoing training to fly F-16 aircraft at various facilities across Europe and the United States. This training is seen as a crucial step in enhancing Ukraine's air capabilities, especially as the conflict with Russia continues to intensify. The acquisition of advanced fighter jets like the F-16 is viewed as a pivotal element in bolstering Ukraine's defenses against ongoing Russian aggression. Meanwhile, in response to the potential deployment of these Western fighter jets, Russian companies have begun offering cash rewards for the destruction of F-16 Fighting Falcon aircraft. This move is aimed at encouraging the Russian military to target and eliminate these advanced aircraft as soon as they enter Ukrainian airspace. The news was first reported on the Russian Defense Ministry's Telegram channel on Tuesday, highlighting the escalating tensions surrounding air superiority in the conflict. The article featured a statement from Ilya Potanin, the director of Russia's Forest Oil Company, who announced, "There will be rewards for the destruction of F-15 and F-16 fighter jets. The reward for the first one will be 15 million rubles." This significant sum underscores the seriousness with which Russia is approaching the potential threat posed by Western military support for Ukraine. In addition to the bounties on F-16s, the Russian Ministry of Defense has previously indicated that a cash reward of 500,000 rubles has been offered for the destruction of NATO tanks in the Avdiivka area. These measures reflect the ongoing efforts by Russia to bolster morale among its forces and incentivize action against perceived threats from Western military assistance. As the conflict continues, the stakes for both sides remain high, with air power playing a critical role in modern warfare. The introduction of F-16s into the Ukrainian arsenal could significantly alter the dynamics of the battlefield, making the Russian response and the incentive structure for its military increasingly urgent. The implications of these developments extend beyond military strategy, affecting regional security, international relations, and the broader geopolitical landscape. With both sides ramping up their efforts, the situation is becoming increasingly complex. The international community is closely monitoring these developments, and diplomatic efforts are ongoing to find a resolution to the conflict that has caused immense suffering for civilians on both sides. As the battle for air superiority continues, the outcome will have far-reaching consequences for the future of Ukraine and its relationship with NATO allies. The footage released by the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense presents a chilling yet familiar scene. Drones meticulously circling a Russian vehicle before swiftly launching a decisive attack. As the drone closes in on its target, the cameras capture the moment of a powerful explosion that obliterates the vehicle and inflicts significant casualties on the Russian army. The intensity of the blast is a stark reminder of the evolving nature of modern warfare and the lethal effectiveness of drone technology, which has redefined combat dynamics in the 21st century. You might be thinking that you've seen similar footage before, but it's crucial to recognize that this is not merely a repetition. It's a reflection of a troubling pattern that has emerged on the battlefield. The same foolish scenario plays out repeatedly in Ukraine, where Russian forces persist in ignoring the very real and imminent threat posed by armed drones. Their refusal to acknowledge the capabilities of these unmanned systems has led to catastrophic outcomes time and again, often resulting in the loss of vehicles, equipment, and lives. Despite the lessons learned from previous encounters, Russian troops seem unwilling to adapt their strategies to counter this evolving threat. Instead, they cling to outdated tactics and procedures, convinced that this time will be different, that they can somehow evade the consequences of their negligence. It's a dangerous mindset that has cost them dearly, contributing to a series of strategic blunders that have exacerbated their challenges on the battlefield. A recent video shared on the Ukraine X account provides further insight into this dynamic. It showcases how Ukrainian FPV drones continuously disrupt Russian supply chains and concealed positions, exposing the vulnerabilities of the enemy. These drones have become a game changer, capable of wreaking havoc on Russian operations and undermining their effectiveness in critical areas. Each successful strike demonstrates the tactical advantage that Ukraine holds, showcasing the innovative use of technology to level the playing field against a traditionally larger military force. In this ongoing conflict, the reliance on drone technology is not merely a trend. It is a fundamental shift in the way warfare is conducted. The ability to gather intelligence, conduct reconnaissance, and engage targets from a distance has given Ukrainian forces an edge, allowing them to execute precise strikes with minimal risk to their personnel. The use of drones has transformed how battles are fought, enabling smaller units to achieve significant impacts against larger formations. As the conflict continues, it is imperative for the Russian military to rethink its approach. Ignoring the reality of the situation and underestimating the capabilities of Ukrainian drones could lead to further losses and a deepening crisis for their forces on the ground. The footage serves not only as a testament to Ukraine's innovative use of technology, but also as a sobering reminder of the consequences of complacency in warfare. In conclusion, the war in Ukraine is not just a battle of arms. It is a contest of adaptability and innovation. The outcomes of this conflict may set precedents for future military engagements worldwide, highlighting the importance of embracing technological advancements and evolving strategies in the face of new threats. The stakes are high, and the lessons learned will resonate far beyond the battle. Hello friend, welcome to our newest video today. The video shows a well-executed evacuation of Ukrainian fighters from combat positions, successfully eliminating enemy forces. The video begins with a Russian soldier emerging from a forest, unaware of a group of Ukrainian soldiers hidden in a tunnel nearby. Suddenly, the Russian soldier is hit by a barrage of cluster munitions from Ukrainian artillery. The panicked soldier retreats back into the forest, while the Ukrainian fighters continue to unleash a relentless rain of cluster munitions. Seizing the opportunity, the crew of an M2A2 ODS-SA Bradley infantry fighting vehicle rescues the Ukrainian soldiers trapped in the tunnel. As the vehicle retreats, it doesn't forget to gift the enemy with additional fire from its tank, the sound of continuous gunfire echoing across the Donetsk region north of the village of Vesely. In a next video, Ukrainian paratroopers launched an ambush on the outskirts of the Kursk region and spotted 3 Russian trucks moving towards their position. The Ukrainian forces immediately planned an attack on the 3 trucks. As the trucks approached the ambush point, the Ukrainian squad opened fire, forcing the vehicles to stop. Once the first Russian truck was immobilized, the Ukrainian forces continued firing, compelling the remaining occupants to exit the vehicle. The Ukrainian paratroopers advanced to assess the situation, checked the condition of the wounded soldiers, and inspected the truck, destroying the radio to disrupt enemy communications. The other trucks met the same fate, with one being flipped over by gunfire. The surprised Russian soldiers struggled to get out of the vehicles and were ultimately forced to surrender. A Russian UAZ-452 Bukhanka truck was detected by an FPV drone in the village of Yegorivka, Donetsk region. The Ukrainian military launched an aerial strike. The drone delivered a precise attack on the truck, eventually forcing it to stop. The strike caused significant damage to both the vehicle and the driver, leaving the enemy with no chance to escape. As a result, the truck was destroyed, and the driver suffered severe injuries, reducing the Russian forces' ability to resist and continue their operations in the area. In another intense video, the 414th Separate Command Regiment of Ukraine, along with airborne reconnaissance fighters, launched an attack on the last surviving Russian soldiers after days of siege, during which their unit had been scattered in a brutal battle. The video begins with 2 soldiers, unaware of the impending threat, hurriedly running into a building, hoping it would protect them from the pursuing drone. However, it was Ukraine that decided their fate. Like a predator stalking its prey, the FPV drone followed them closely. As the 2 entered the building, an FPV drone carrying an explosive charge crashed into the entrance. The resulting blast buried the 2 disoriented Russian soldiers under the rubble, and a precise coordinate was relayed, leading Ukrainian forces to identify a building where approximately 2 Russian platoons were gathering and preparing for offensive operations in the village of Mayorske, near the city of Horlivka, Donetsk region. Upon receiving the information, the Ukrainian military immediately dispatched a MiG-29 fighter jet to the scene to carry out an attack on the enemy unit. The assault was supported by AASM-250 HIMARS-guided missiles, making the operation swift and efficient. The footage shows the MiG-29 executing a precise and effective strike. The building quickly collapsed, burying the 2 Russian platoons alive. Next time, a Special Forces fighter unit successfully ambushed and captured a group of Russian soldiers in the Kursk region, where intense battles are ongoing between Ukraine and the powerful Russian forces. The Ukrainian SSO soldiers ambushed a convoy carrying Russian troops through the forest. The Ukrainian forces fully controlled the situation by strategically placing explosive traps along the route the Russian soldiers were traveling and setting up ambushes on both sides of the forest edge, waiting for the right moment. As soon as the preset trap detonated with a loud explosion, the Russian soldiers in the convoy were swiftly captured. The video shows how the Ukrainian forces not only bravely attacked, but also executed a highly effective plan in confronting a stronger enemy. We also witnessed 2 Russian soldiers desperately attempted to escape the pursuit of a Mavic 3 drone, frantically running into a cluster of trees to hide, confident that they had evaded detection. However, the Mavic 3 relentlessly tracked them without mercy. Unaware that their every move was being monitored from above, the soldiers were caught off guard as the drone dropped the first artillery shell. Followed by a second and third, directly on their position. Near a crumbling house surrounded by maple trees in the village of Netalov, Donetsk region, the drone closed in on the house and targeted the nearby cluster of trees. A massive explosion followed, creating a terrifying scene of destruction. On a forest road toward Donetsk, Ukrainian forces used a drone to halt the retreat of a group of Russian soldiers at the edge of a forest. Their target was a mobile tank attempting to escape the drone's pursuit. The drone launched a relentless chase against the convoy of Russian troops, with an FPV drone attacking the group of soldiers at the rear of the vehicle. A tank that had been abandoned also became a target for Ukrainian forces. A precise and effective strike sent shards of metal flying as the tank's ammunition exploded, turning it into a ball of fire. Later that same day, another Ukrainian drone obliterated an abandoned Russian armored vehicle left on the roadside. This intense video captures the devastation of a war-torn area, with rubble from destroyed buildings strewn all around, creating a horrifying and desolate scene. An FPV drone is dispatched on a reconnaissance mission, flying around the area in search of potential targets. During its sweep, the drone spots a small bunker buried under the debris. The FPV drone moves in and makes a precise attack on the bunker. With only one entrance, the drone dives straight into it, causing a powerful explosion. Footage from the drone shows the massive blast collapsing the bunker and triggering a fierce explosion. Following the explosion, 3 Russian soldiers are seen being forced out of the damaged bunker, scrambling to escape. They quickly flee toward a nearby forest, seeking cover from any further attacks. This scene starkly illustrates the brutality and effectiveness of modern warfare, highlighting the crucial role of drone technology in detecting and eliminating targets in a combat environment. And during a reconnaissance mission near a grassland area, Ukrainian forces received reports of suspicious activity around a previously destroyed Ural truck. To verify the information, the military quickly deployed a drone to survey the area. The FPV drone flew close to the damaged Ural truck, scanning the surroundings and capturing footage. These images were streamed live to the 79th Brigade, allowing the soldiers to monitor and analyze the situation remotely. Through the live feed, the 79th Brigade noticed a figure hiding underneath the wrecked truck. Upon clearly identifying the target as a Russian soldier in hiding, the FPV drone executed a precise attack. The drone dove directly under the truck, triggering a powerful explosion that completely eliminated the soldier. The mission was successfully accomplished, demonstrating the effectiveness of drone technology in detecting and neutralizing targets. An FPV drone once again detected 3 Russian soldiers moving hastily, showcasing the technology's ability to detect and track targets from a distance. This allowed the Ukrainian military to gain precise information about the enemy's location and actions. Upon realizing the danger posed by incoming artillery fire, the Russian soldiers quickly scrambled to find cover. The first artillery round blocked their path, forcing the 3 Russian soldiers to flee into the forest in search of safety. However, a second, well-aimed artillery strike eliminated them before they had any chance to resist. The result was the swift and decisive elimination of the 3 soldiers. This ruthless outcome demonstrates the effectiveness of combining drone intelligence with precise ground-based attacks to achieve tactical objectives. A footage shows 2 Russian soldiers were frantically running for cover in the village of Pivden, Donetsk region, unaware that Ukrainian drone operators were closely monitoring their movements. Believing they had found safety in a basement, the 2 soldiers were soon proven wrong by the Ukrainian Airborne Brigade. An FPV drone carrying an explosive charge targeted the basement directly. The powerful impact caused the entire structure to collapse, turning their refuge into a grave. In the same situation, in the village of Rozdolivka, Donetsk region, Ukrainian forces detected traces of Russian soldiers hiding inside several houses. Upon receiving orders to attack, Ukrainian troops quickly positioned an FPV drone armed with explosives to drop ordnance from above onto the cluster of houses. Realizing they had been spotted, 2 panicked Russian soldiers abandoned their first hideout and fled to a neighboring house. Their decision to move was in vain. After the initial strike, the FPV drone slowly approached the new house, executing a precise and swift attack. The house was instantly obliterated, burying the unfortunate Russian soldiers beneath the rubble, leaving no chance of survival. Aerial reconnaissance detected Russian infantry advancing toward Ukrainian defensive positions. FPV drone operators immediately responded by firing on the invading forces. Caught off guard, the Russian soldiers panicked, fleeing across a field in an attempt to reach the tree line along the river near the village of Jelan in the Donetsk region. However, Ukrainian mortar teams and D-30 artillery gunners ensured they would never march on foreign soil again, eliminating the fleeing soldiers before they could reach safety. Ukrainian military forces continuously received intelligence on the location of Russian troops in the village of Grodivka, Donetsk region, and learned that the Russians were preparing to launch an attack on Ukrainian positions. Acting swiftly, the Ukrainian forces were ordered to counterattack, disrupting the enemy's plans. A Ukrainian tank, filled with fury, rolled into Grodivka, relentlessly firing at Russian positions. As the tank advanced, it left a trail of smoke and the smell of gunpowder in its wake, plunging the entire village into a scene of chaos and destruction. The fierce assault turned the village into a battlefield, overwhelming the enemy and foiling their attempt to occupy Ukrainian territory. The video footage captures a Russian infantry unit attempting to attack Ukrainian positions. However, they were swiftly neutralized, revealing that they had been under surveillance. Indeed, as a small group of soldiers moved into the forest, they quickly became targets for FPV drone operators. Before they could get far, they were struck by an artillery shell in a precise and effective attack, destroyed one soldier instantly. The sudden assault threw the remaining Russian soldiers into panic, with one of them fleeing desperately for cover. However, even after finding refuge in a bush, he was quickly finished off by another well-aimed artillery strike. The result of the attack was a grim scene of lifeless bodies as the entire group was completely wiped out north of the village of Tikhon in the Kharkiv region. Once again, 2 Russian soldiers were spotted trying to hide in a shelter, this time in a nearly destroyed house in the village of Pavlivka, Donetsk region. The drone continued to monitor them for 10 minutes. As the FPV drone shifted its angle outside, it spotted one soldier bravely loading his weapon. Realizing he was being watched, the defiant Russian soldier made a rude gesture toward the drone, as if to challenge it. This act of defiance came at a steep price, as the Ukrainian forces immediately directed the drone, armed with explosives, to attack the house. The drone executed a direct and precise strike on the shelter. The impact caused the house to collapse, leaving little chance for the enemy soldiers to survive. Another striking video captured the impressive efforts of Ukrainian fighters in eliminating Russian soldiers using the top-tier weaponry of the Ukrainian military. The explosion occurred almost instantaneously, targeting the two Russian soldiers before they could fully enter the shelter. The enemy was completely annihilated in the blink of an eye, with debris and shrapnel scattering in all directions. The FPV drone circled back to assess the situation, confirming that the threat had been entirely neutralized. One soldier was attacked instantly, and the other was gravely wounded, lying helpless on the ground, no longer able to fight or defend himself. A heavily armored vehicle, reportedly on its way towards Berlin, was abandoned on the road near Pokrovsky, suggesting it was likely transporting troops or critical equipment. The drone maneuvered into position and struck the side of the armored vehicle, where the protective metal plating was located. The attack resulted in a fire erupting from the vehicle, quickly spreading and igniting explosive materials like fuel tanks or other flammable items on board. The resulting explosions intensified the destruction, reducing the armored vehicle to a heap of scrap metal. The vehicle was entirely engulfed in flames and destroyed, leaving nothing but charred system, an advanced piece of equipment poised to target Ukrainian forces. The Russian troops attempting to camouflage the vehicle among the trees, hoping to avoid detection by Ukrainian drones. However, the Ukrainian forces are one step ahead. Within seconds, a powerful explosion erupts, and the screen displays a chilling sight. The once formidable Russian air defense system is engulfed in flames and thick black smoke. As the drone circles back, the once sophisticated piece of military hardware is now reduced to a smoldering heap of twisted metal. A stark reminder of the precision and destructive power of modern warfare. This scene depicts a powerful and symbolic moment in the ongoing conflict. The Ukrainian military successfully captures a Russian soldier, bringing him back to their unit with a high level of caution and control. The captured soldier is bound and placed on an old, weathered Ukrainian tank, a vehicle that, despite its visible wear, stands as a testament to the enduring strength and resilience of the Ukrainian armed forces. As the tank rumbles back to the Ukrainian unit, carrying both the prisoner and a powerful message, the scene becomes a vivid representation of triumph and determination. The Ukrainian soldiers, riding alongside the captured enemy, proudly raise their national flag, an act that symbolizes their unwavering spirit and belief in victory. The flag flutters defiantly in the wind above the old tank, reinforcing the image of steadfast resolve and national pride. The combination of the captured soldier, the aged yet powerful tank, and the proudly waving flag creates an unforgettable image, one that underscores the spirit and fortitude of the Ukrainian forces in their struggle. The video shows a reconnaissance drone tracking a Russian military vehicle. The FPV drone closely follows the target, circling around it, with all images being transmitted to the Ukrainian military. Upon hearing the sound of the drone, the Russian soldiers quickly jump out of the vehicle and scatter to the sides of the road. However, the drone swiftly attacks from behind the vehicle, targeting the soldiers who haven't managed to get away, resulting in a precise strike. The next footage shows the drone attacking an abandoned vehicle on the road. We then see the drone attacking another abandoned vehicle on the road, and it continues to pursue suspicious targets in the area, all of which are destroyed by artillery fire. The Ukrainian reconnaissance drone spots a tank placed in an open area with no camouflage, making it an ideal target for a bombing. This represents a significant weakness in defensive tactics, as the lack of concealment makes the target easy to detect and attack. Noticing the suspicious setup, Ukraine promptly launches a grenade at the tank. The vehicle explodes and catches fire. Due to the massive impact, the drone operator ascends to avoid the effects of the grenade. After the attack, the drone continues to search the area to check for any soldiers hiding near the tank. The absence of additional troops in the vicinity may indicate that the soldiers either withdrew before or after the tank was attacked, or that the tank was abandoned without support from personnel. A group of Russian soldiers is detected moving through an occupied village. The Russian soldier uses a motorcycle for ease of mobility and to minimize detection. The soldier hurries into what appears to be a garage, but there's a hole in the roof through which all activities inside are clearly visible. The Ukrainian FPV drone attacks this shelter, targeting the hole as if it were the brain of the Russian forces. Another artillery shell is dropped directly into the hole in the roof, resulting in a precise bombing that spells doom for the unfortunate Russian soldiers inside. In a remote area, an abandoned house in the Kharkiv region's Vovchansk. A Ukrainian drone detects the presence of a Russian mercenary and his comrade hiding in the house. Every movement of the two soldiers is captured by the powerful FPV drone. Recognizing an excellent target, the Ukrainian military directs the drone to approach the abandoned house and immediately drops an artillery shell inside. The building collapses, which means that the two Russian mercenaries are also buried under the rubble. The US HIMARS missile system has accurately struck the industrial building where the Tor air defense system was stored, likely incapacitating this complex with just a single shot. At the same time, NATO leaders attending a pivotal summit have expressed their support for Ukraine's irreversible path toward membership, emphasizing that Kyiv has the right to choose its own security arrangements and asserting that their future lies within NATO. This stance, articulated in the joint statement released after the first day of discussions at the summit on July 10th, sends a clear message about NATO's ongoing backing for Ukraine's efforts to defend itself against the invasion by Russian forces.
We see the Ukrainian position where this Russian column is moving towards. From a bird's eye view, we see the armored vehicles getting closer and closer. And suddenly a tank is hit by a mine. You can see that it's equipped with a minesweeper. That didn't help him much. The Ukrainian kamikaze drone goes straight to the wounded tank. A precision hit successfully ignites the target. The tank gradually burns up, and when the fire reaches the ammunition, we see bright sparks from the explosion. Note that this Ukrainian position was heavily shelled by artillery. Watch the next target explode. The AFU is taking out this charred APC. Next, the Ukrainian drone misses. This tin manages to get a little further away, but there it is met by another drone. The APC still makes its way to the trenches. At the same time, several drones hit another target. The first hit is not critical. A few moments later, a second drone stops the APC. A Ukrainian soldier fires a javelin. The shell hits the target. Meanwhile, the drone hits an APC that is parked near the trenches. Thick white smoke appears. This APC is trying to escape. It stops after the first hit. The second drone hits the fuel compartment, and the target is engulfed in flames. But that's not all. The other APC also has no idea what will happen to it in a moment. He steps on 2 mines at once. There is a very strong explosion, and the target is burned to the ground. The next tin can is on its way to attack. There are no mines on its way, and it approaches the trenches without any problems. But a Ukrainian soldier is already ready to fire an RPG. The shell hits right in the forehead of the Russian MTLB. Several more improperly parked armored vehicles are found nearby. We again see an RPG hit that turns the target into a pile of scrap metal. Another tank is heading towards the AFU positions. A drone penetrates its defenses. For some reason, the tank stops. Another blow causes a fire, and as soon as the flames get to the ammunition, we see a beautiful explosion. The next target is an abandoned tank. A drone flies right into it and causes a massive fire. The MTLB decides to take a different route, and as they approach the Ukrainian position, a mine is found on the way. The APC is stopped, and the drone finishes the job. Now the Ukrainian Bradley is moving out on a combat mission. I think you know where it happens. The legendary APC, together with the assault team, arrives at the enemy position. We see the Bushmaster cannon sizzling the houses around them. In this way, Bradley suppresses the enemy so that the AFU infantry can safely leave the APC. Ukrainian soldiers begin the operation. First, the group throws grenades, and then they clear the buildings one by one. All this time, the Bradleys are covering. The buildings are burning brightly.